Hello and welcome to our review of Maul Shadow Lord episodes 5 and 6. And be warned, it's going to contain spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch it, then head back here because we need to talk Maul.
Absolutely. Folks, just a quick reminder that Jack and I have seen episodes 1 through 8. So until we get to the end, till next week, we will not be doing a lot of speculating because we can't. Because like we said, we know what it is. We want to thank Disney. We want to thank Lucasfilm for hooking us up with the screeners and making us wait what feels like an eternity to see how this season ends.
It kills me every time I get stuff like this. It absolutely kills me.
It's definitely a double-edged sword. We're not complaining, but
No, no.
I sit there and I watch all of our friends talking about it. Clan Brandalorian, guy who loves Star Wars, and they're speculating, and I'm like screaming at my television while I'm watching YouTube. While them, I'm like, "No, it's not it," or "You got it." I don't want to say anything to them.
Yeah.
But it is fun to get to sit down and binge these too, because I do think it works really well straight through as well, because it doesn't really cut. You know what I mean? But anyways,
Yeah.
kind of wanted to let everybody know. I'm not bragging. We're just saying, like, hey, we have these. This is the reason we're not speculating until next week. We can speculate.
Yes.
It'll be exciting. So here we go.
Yes, indeed. And like Jimmy said, I enjoy listening to everyone's theories on what's coming next episode, etc., because you already know what's happening. So I guess the guys and girls over at Disney and Lucasfilm also enjoy listening to people's speculation and people when they get it so far wrong or so far right as well. But yeah,
It's pretty cool. So
awesome.
all
Right,
right.
let's dive in. What chapter are we covering first?
Chapter 5, the Inquisition.
Yes.
Not the Spanish one, but
No.
written by Jennifer Corbett. This one starts out that's cold open. It has the Imperial shadow over the city, and you've got Docky and Devon saying Maul is no longer our concern, surviving is. So everyone's kind of on edge now because the Empire is here.
Yes, the Empire has arrived, and you see the effects that has from this point forward. Because obviously, up until this point, it's been a planet where there's no Empire present, and how things change. We see this many times throughout Rebels as well, when the Empire shows up. Andor, yeah. So we sort of know where it's going to be heading. And I don't know about you, Jimmy, but I had a horrible gut feeling again with the Empire arriving because we know what effect that has.
Yeah, I just, from my understanding too, I don't know if it was who told us this, but like Janix, that city, that planet, and like that city, and then it's surrounded by like jungle or whatever. So I don't know if they actually have any resources, but it's not going to be the same there. And they very quickly, I have a funny joke, but Jack won't let me say it, about the TK troopers and how quickly they just come in and they know what they're doing. They seize control, and life will not ever be the same for the citizens of Janix.
No, absolutely not. And like Daki said right at the start, Maul is not the concern. The Jedi just need to survive. They're already hanging on a thread. We've seen them living in the sewer, like we keep saying, like rats. But now, if things have got even worse, and it's all thanks to who?
Stupid two boots. My least favorite droid.
Yeah, he got the word out. I think we've sort of touched our overall reaction to this episode. It doesn't really slow down in terms of pace, I don't think, at all.
Now there's a lot of good action in this.
Oh yeah,
and we have a new bad guy.
We do, and we'll cover that in a bit of detail actually, because there's some good points on that. Tone wise over the episode, I want to say the feelings I was getting was like daunting. Sort of creeping back up that horror again.
Like any chance they had is over kind of feeling. Like at least for the city. I mean, we know that this isn't the end of Maul, obviously, given the fact that we know that he has more to come later on, but we don't know what that looks like though. So who knows what could happen to him leading up to this. But yeah, I mean, pretty quickly things devolve. Yeah, just kind of saddened, defeated. Not good feelings.
Not good at all. Like a foreboding feeling. That's the word I was racking my brains for then for the past 30 seconds. Themes and ideas wise, this episode is about the arrival of the Empire arriving. obviously it just caused major issues. We sort of already touched on that. In terms of it being connected to the wider Star Wars saga, again, we touched on it. You know, we've seen this multiple times in Rebels, Andor, etc., etc., etc. And I think they still managed to pull it off, and it's a massive credit to the team there. You know, this is animation, yet it still hits you in the feels exactly the same as Andor did. You know, when you first see the Empire dropping down.
I think Andor makes all of this better.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this would be good. We got it in Rebels. We got it in stuff. But Andor, seeing that live action, that change and the Gorman massacre, I think that enhances Star Wars moving forward. And I
Yes.
think that because we have seen the Gorman massacre, we have seen these things, we've seen how Andor is treated and all those people were treated on those different planets, that we know we may not see it in this show, but we know what's coming for those people. And it's like, oh, this is kind of, like you said, foreboding.
Yes.
I did think on theme wise, though, there's like this split down the middle. Some people want to leave, some people want to stay. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of like the theme here for some of our characters. And it's kind of funny who lines up where when you get, Maul and Devin don't seem to be, in their own ways, don't seem to be influenced or scared by the Empire. And then Daki and other people in the Rook cast are like, we need to bounce. Like,
Yeah.
it's survival for all of us. And it seems like it's weird that Devin and Maul, separately away from each other, are sitting there both like, she wants to go get him, he wants to go get her. And then Daki and Rook are like, we need to survive to live
Yeah.
another day. So it's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point, and it brings us nicely into a character section of the episode. You know, people's motivations. You said it right at the start there, Jimmy. They change straight away. Straight away. You know, we'll start with Daki. His motivation is just to survive. Forget more. Forget everything else. We've just got to survive. And like you said there as well, I think with Devon, because she seems so young, she's a little naive. Maul's obviously not afraid. To be honest, why would you be if you're Darth Maul? But Daki is terrified. He's seen what Order 66, can do. He's seen what the Empire is capable of. So yeah, we do see him change dramatically.
And I think about those Jedi, and we've seen it with Kenobi and we've seen it with some other ones, especially an older Jedi. I don't know who would be harder on it. Yeah, they have all their force powers and they're better equipped to deal with situations, but they've never lived a moment in their life where they didn't have the council and the Jedi Order to fall back on. So
Yeah,
I think sometimes we forget, like we get so focused on Devin because we think that she's going to be this thing, this weapon that Maul has talked about in the trailers and in some of the earlier episodes. But then we never think about like your whole infrastructure, your whole family, like all that's just gone for him. So the fact that he's holding on so tight to Devin makes sense. And I think sometimes we overlook that as fans, like, oh, get over it. You know what I mean? But I bet you there's people out there, unfortunately, that have suffered some loss and they probably can identify with these older Jedi more so
yeah,
than the younger ones.
mate. And if I could relate it to anything, and you could probably vouch for this, it's probably for people like ourselves, etc., that have had structure all their life, as in school, then the army, especially, and then people that leave the army after like 20 odd years. I know I've
They,
done 19, but the future, you look in the head and you're like, what do I do? You haven't got that infrastructure. You haven't got, that routine. It's gone. So
yeah,
yeah, I think it
absolutely.
is super, super relatable.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely. I don't know why that just kind of hit me. Like, I never thought about the older Jedi that way. Like the
Yeah.
younger ones, like Kanan, like he had it, but I mean, he was like, I mean, how old was he? So, I mean, most of his life has been without it. And, so I thought that was a unique look at it. I'm
Yeah.
not sure that I even noticed that the first time or the second time through. And it just kind of popped in as, I've been rewatching them as they release each week. And I just kind of noticed that this week or last week. I'm like, man, like Docky's, he's struggling, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
What's your thoughts on Devon at this point?
Man, she says at one point, she says, this is a waste of, like, he's talking about running and going into the forest or whatever. And
Yeah.
she's like, this is a waste of our abilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's cracking a little bit, maybe not cracking necessarily, but like, why should I run kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to run. Like, I can fend for myself or whatever. So,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to just look just kind of over my notes real quick here. because there's not a ton here. Like they are trying to get away in this episode. She does
Yeah.
kind of go with them. So in this one, but then in the next episode, I think she's kind of a little butthead. So because she's kind of mean to Riley and stuff like that. I think in their conversation. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gotta be careful what I say here because I know what's coming up. But I still think I think she's breaking. There might be some chinks in that armor or whatever, like there's some cracks
For
in the
sure.
armor. But I still think she's a long ways away. I feel like
Yes.
I don't feel like this is something that even gets done in season 1, if I'm being honest. I think
Oh,
there's gonna be like I know we're not really supposed to speculate or anything like that, but I feel like something has to happen in episodes 9 or 10, and then we'll deal with that in season 2.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Maybe. I'm starting to see a lot of traits of Maul in her. The whole thing about staying and wanting to just fight. Because again,
Yeah.
Maul's more of a person like that. I think that's what he's seen in the previous episodes, and that's why he is attracted to her in terms of, he can see the opportunity there to get an apprentice for whatever means we don't know yet. But speaking about Maul, again, I think his motivations, they don't really change, if I'm honest. Even with the Empire inbound, doesn't seem to phase him at all.
No.
Um,
Especially with the way episode 6 opens up, so we'll talk
yes,
about that in a little bit. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, it's pretty
But,
cool. But yeah,
yeah,
no, there's no great changes really to Maul.
I think really everyone's kind of where they're at. I think Two Boots is starting to like, I don't think he's figuring things out yet, but when Lieutenant Blake shows up from the Empire and stuff like that in this
Yeah,
episode, um, you know, I think that's like the only character that's like kind of changing. Like it seems not really changing because we just get introduced to him, but he is changing the narrative for everybody. 'Cause I think he's
yeah,
going to be kind of like a Dr. Hemlock type baddie,
yeah,
from the Bad Batch kind of stuff.
yeah. No, I can see that. Um, Another character that we sort of get more acquainted with, let's say, is the new arriving of the Empire. And I know we want to talk a little bit in depth about this character, but the officer,
Yeah, Lieutenant Blake. Yep.
yeah, Lieutenant Blake, looks different, like you mentioned. There's
Yeah,
something off.
off the air, I was talking about it. There's something menacing about him, but he does not look like, and it's just like his face.
Yeah,
He's got I don't know, like, I'm not being mean or anything like that. He just looks different than anything we've seen in Star Wars, you know what I
yeah,
mean? I mean, maybe closer to, Hux than anybody else just with the, you know, pale white. He kinda has some, like, different coloring on his face. I don't know if that's something I looked up the actor because I was curious because you know how a lot of times they'll like Brander Lawson, like Wagner Moore could be Brander Lawson, you know what I mean? Like if it's like a
yeah,
human. And I looked up the actor and it's Alistair Murden, and it doesn't look anything like what Blake looks like. So I don't know what the
no,
motivation was for Blake, but he has this menacing look. And he's not very nice, which was what we expect if he's running things for the Empire.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but is that what I mean? We don't really talked about it. Like when you saw him, what did you think? Like,
Different vibes completely. He's still got that swagger that the Empire officers carry with them, that arrogance, if you like. Um, Again, the normal no nonsense, straight to the point. Is policy driven. He likes his order, etc. But like you said, in terms of like looks and appearance, something's not quite right there. Something's
yeah, it's
something's
just
different. I
different.
can't put my finger
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, it's just different from anything that we've seen before. Not in a good way or a bad way. It's just different. And I'm, I know some people are like, oh, it's the same story, older person, younger person trying to protect and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I feel like that where they can make changes to things, like, you got
Mm,
Wagner Moore with his voice, and his
yeah,
accent coming into it and bringing some more depth into it. I feel like I know it's something simple and silly, but I think it's cool that he doesn't just look stereotypical
yeah,
Empire. What I think that means is that what is stereotypical is that nasty streak that he's probably gonna have. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like we see a little bit over the next 2 episodes. We see it over these 2 episodes, which
yeah.
all we can talk about. But so it's there. That's the one thing that they all have in common.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's a good point as well, Jimmy, to be fair, that it's not a bad thing that the appearance is slightly different because, again, generics, officers, Empire, Star Wars, pretty much the same. So I think it's important that there's subtle differences that people notice to make that character stand out rather than just be another stormtrooper or another officer. So it's a really, really good point. The next character we want to talk about is probably Lawson. Do we want to talk about Brandon Lawson?
Yeah, we can.
Sure.
He's struggling.
Yeah.
Everything that he didn't want to have happen is happening. Chief Kleiss goes to bat for him. She just disappears
Just
in
gone.
this episode. When he gets interrogated,
oh boy,
he goes in and he sees those fingernail claw marks in the ground. And by the
Yep.
end of this episode, when he gets back to his apartment, which we'll talk about, that dude is done. Like, he is like,
he's spent.
Yeah, he's spent. He's emotionally, physically. I mean, he's stressed to the max because, he probably feels guilt for. If you think about the way the last episode ended, everybody got just ripped up and destroyed by Maul and that group. And then to top that off, the Empire shows up, and then he might have gotten his chief taken out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'll take it. This is my job, kind of thing. So he's kind of at his wit's end. And we don't get a ton of him this episode. We do get a lot more of them in episode 6, though.
Yes, we do. But we do see obviously a new character sort of introduced in this. I'm going to go down the lines with Marok. Again, you mentioned the claws on the table scene, comes out the shadows menacingly.
Everything.
Yes. And straight away, I'd score like a little girl and tell them everything and anything. Anyway, in terms of looks and that appearance, we knew what we were getting with Marok. He looks amazing. He looks awesome. Again, that character, that voice acting from AJ Lucasso, is it? Lucasso?
No, the one that voiced him this time. Yeah, because it was funny enough, was Sam Witwer's the one who voiced him in the show. So, but yeah, I don't even think he really had many speaking parts in the Ahsoka show, but he does say some things in this. And I can't say on the air what I wrote in my notes. Like, I was holding beep, it's Merrick, but he was menacing. Do you think that it's weird? And I know we might have talked about this leading up to the show, but that they brought in an Inquisitor that we know, or at least we think, was dead when we met him in Ahsoka, right? Because we feel like, I think you and I are in agreement where we think that when he gets cut up by Ahsoka, that it's that green witch magic, right?
Yeah.
And we know from the trailer that there's somebody else coming too that meets an untimely, So it's weird that they don't bring in like 2 Inquisitors that we don't know, just based off of what we've seen in these 2 episodes and what we've seen in the trailer. Like, we know who's coming. We don't know when they're coming, but we know who's coming. And I don't know. Does it take anything away for you, or is it like, all right, let's see what happens here?
It doesn't take anything away from me. I don't think it's even laziness either. I think they just wanted to use more of Marok. Again, if you've got that stuff in like the archives and that, why not use it more?
Yeah.
Personally.
No, I mean, I'm down for it. I did have some notes, like a note, like, what is he? Like, who is he? What is he?
Well, that's it as well. There's obviously a reason, and it could just be nothing. Again, this is just pure speculation. That we saw him get cut up in Ahsoka, and then we see like the witch magic. We're dealing with more in this from Dathomir. Maybe there's a link there. Maybe we see why he goes off and assists Balin.
Yeah.
So maybe something happens in this. We don't know. But yeah, no, it doesn't really bother me at all. Using characters like that. Like I said, I think you've got it in the archives. Why not use it? You paid all that money and done all that hard work on making that character. So nah, more than happy with it. Character-wise, is again, I know we've sort of spoken about this character. Two Boots, your favorite droid. Again, doesn't really do a fat lot of anything.
He's just trying to, he just keeps. I mean, because at one point, like, it's either in this episode or next episode, and he's like, "We need to tell Chief Kleiss," and another officer's like, "Chief Kleiss is gone, man." Like, he's like, "But according to blah 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 blah."
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, no, I think we can move on from that. I think another character I want to speak about as well. Yeah, so another character then we've got to touch on. I know we only briefly touched on him. Sorry, is Daki.
Yeah, so we got, at the beginning of this, he wants to run, and
Yeah,
Devon's like, "Nah, I don't. We want to go after Maul."
yeah,
And I think, and then he also has a line in here too where, she says it's a waste of our abilities to hide, and he's like, he can say, I think he says like, "It's your voice, but those are Maul's words." And then he also says, and I got this, I kind of got Balin Skull vibes from this vibes, but throughout my long life, I have seen the galaxy endure many changes. Tyranny is always defeated. So he kind of talking about those cycles that like Balin Skull talked about in Ahsoka, but
yeah,
we know that it's gonna be a while.
yeah. It definitely is going to
So,
be a while.
but
Yeah,
so and then he tries to Jedi mind trick somebody. It doesn't really work that well. They get into a big fight. He kind of looks like
yeah,
Chirrut Imwe with his
yeah.
staff. He's kind
With
of
the
messing
staff.
people up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I put Daki is still hurt from that dang kick. I'm worried about him.
yeah.
And
He's struggling at this point. He's really, really struggling. I think throughout this entire episode, you're waiting for him to drop keel over.
I just at
Um,
any minute you're just like what's
yeah.
gonna happen to the guy? So
But going back to what you mentioned there, where he's tried to use the force on a trooper. Yes, it worked, but then obviously it gets seen by another trooper,
yeah.
uh, which to me again makes sense.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Like, why'd you do that? And they're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So
so I was quite like happy with that, and I think that was like a subtle nod uh,
to
to A New Hope as well. You know,
yeah.
because they're at a checkpoint and the guy's there with him, and his why did you do that? Um,
And
but
then it
yeah,
kind of, it kind of wraps up. Um, all those people, they let Lawson go, and he thinks he's done with it, and
yeah,
they're chasing Devin and Docky all over the place. Riley does talk to his mom one time, and she's part of the machine, man.
yeah,
She might be as bad as Cyril before he realizes what's happening.
yeah.
But
I think she's got a bigger part to play.
yeah, I think so. I think she might end up being something. Who knows? She might even be on that ship. I know she says she's in Coruscant, but I don't put it past her to lie because she's just like, do whatever the Empire says to do. And
Yeah,
then, Lawson comes walking into his house. He's had a hell of a day. Things couldn't possibly get worse. And then
yeah.
they do.
They look around the corner, and lo and behold, Riley has two new friends.
Yes. And it's just, he's like, holy, if he could swear, I'm sure. Does he give us a Dank Ferric or does he
I
give
think
us a Carabast or?
I think it's a Dank Ferric. I think off the
Yeah,
top of
I
my head, I'm
can't
trying to
remember.
remember now, but yeah,
If he
no,
didn't
it's a
say it, he was definitely thinking it.
no, 100%.
So,
Yeah, that is pretty much episode 5 in a nutshell. Now, like we said, mentioned there, there's quite a few links to previous stuff, canon references, like the whole Force thing, the sort of nods as well. Any favorite standout moments for you, Jimmy?
I like how they're establishing how they're showing the Empire establish itself, like overall,
Yeah,
as it builds and gets worse and worse for everybody involved. And obviously, there's that. But I
yeah,
also like, where was it? Shoot. Trying to I just like Docky. I don't like the fact that Docky wants to run, but
yeah,
the fact that he thinks kind of like Balin Skull, where it's like, we've seen these cycles before, and he probably has. In all
yeah,
fairness, we don't know how old he is. We don't know, we don't know. People are saying he's one kind of species, but I don't really think he is, because he doesn't look closely. He doesn't look like was it Corbin? What's that guy's name? But anyways, so we have no idea how old he is,
yeah,
and what he's seen, in his time, because maybe he's around the High Republic. I don't know how long his species lives, and he's
yeah,
seen
yeah.
cycles. So I think that's kind of cool. Again, and then him struggling, obviously, and getting to see how the purge affects different Jedi is always interesting.
Yeah, no, good point. I think for me, I do like the chase scene. I love it when they steal the ship, and obviously the ship gets blown out of the sky, etc. But I think for visuals, when when the stormtroopers are chasing them, because don't they get on that? What's that clone ship?
Now that's next episode.
Oh, for Christ's sake! Well, we'll talk about that in a second anyway, so we're all good. We're all good. But yeah, going back to what I was saying there, so one of the best visuals ones for me is Marek when he comes out those shadows. Like for
No,
me,
that's
that
pretty
was
intense.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. and then just the the shudder that it gives you, because again, you see that the Empire's arrived. Like we said about the episode, the tone there is foreboding, and then it does kick off. That segues us nicely into chapter 6, which we can talk about a lot of more things.
Yeah, so we got chapter 6, Night of the Hunted, written by Christopher Yost, and this one opens up in such a cool way.
Yes.
Maul doing his forms out there training,
Yeah.
and just going through his, they call it kata and karate, just kind of going through his forms. And I don't know if we've ever really seen a Jedi or a Sith do something like this in the show. Like we got a little bit of like form practice or lightsaber practice in the Acolyte with Jeki, but nothing like this. This is more meditative Tai Chi. It's really, really cool. Really cool.
Yeah. It's definitely a highlight of this episode. Just again, the tone of this episode, the title, Night of the Hunted, where it's sort of going. Impressions wise, again, this first few minutes just literally just set the tone. Something's coming in this one. Something's being built up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because like you build on all those things we talked about in episode or chapter 5 with like the foreboding and all this stuff, and you see everyone, like we talked about, everyone wants to get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And Maul is like out there just practicing his forms, finding the center, and at peace. Maybe the Force is talking to him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's an interesting start to this, where the top's about to come off, and he's out there just as calm as a cucumber. So it's pretty interesting start.
Yeah. And it pretty much sets the tone, like we said. Themes wise, this episode is about literally what it says. The Jedi now, they're known that they're out there. Obviously, the Empire knows that Maul's there, so the hunting does begin here.
And it's all of them, that whole group, and Riley gets thrown into this, unfortunately.
It does indeed, and again, it connects to the whole Star Wars saga as always, with Jedi's being hunted. But now we're seeing a Sith or an ex-Sith Lord, if you like, being hunted. Again, we're just going to touch on the character deep dive stuff. For me, Daki and Devin, they don't really change too much, personality wise in this. They're still on their own. They're still trying to fend for themselves. I'll start it with Maul though, and then we can touch on to those two. But we mentioned it there that Maul's practicing. He knows what's coming. But in this, you can see he can handle himself quite fine. There is no change.
Yeah, because up to this, we've seen him kind of just dealing with either not Force users, and when he's fighting, I mean, he had to work a little bit against Daki because Daki gets a shot on him, but in episode 4 or whatever it was, but chapter 4, but then. Yeah, so this is that whole thing with Sam Witwer saying that, it's bad guys versus worse guys. Like, it's coming. You know what I mean? And it's like, and he's getting ready for it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think Sam Witwer hit the nail on the head with that, quote unquote. Anything else about Maul really that changes for you in this?
No, because he still has his vision, and he has his moment that comes up towards the end of this episode. So,
yes. Again, for me, there is one moment, but I hang on to it. I think towards when we do talk about it, you'll see why. Yes. So, character-wise in this one, I want to speak about more is Marek. Obviously, we see a lot more of him in this. Again, action-wise, what's your thoughts on him on this, Jimmy?
Well, I tell you what, he's menacing. I didn't really feel that in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But we get him coming out of the shadows in chapter 5, and then we get him. He kind of sets Lawson up in this.
Yeah.
And then he comes in there, and there's a fight. I mean, he's got 2 fights in this episode or this chapter.
Yeah.
They're really good. But he does get defeated. We'll talk about that right at the end. But yeah, I think he feels much more menacing and destructive and powerful in these episodes. He's also not going up against Ahsoka, who I was think
about to say. Yeah,
but he does feel more menacing in this episode. But we'll see, like eventually, I mean, they do get into a fight on this one, and I mean, Marek's taking on Maul and Devin, so it's like he's kind of holding his own against them. Gets kind of gets tricked at the end of that fight and doesn't really get to finish it. But yeah, so I think what I said last time was like we know what happens to him, but it'll be earned apparently. So
well, we'll see.
yeah.
Again, we'll touch on the Jedis. We'll start with Daki to begin with. Again, I'm still expecting him to keel over. I think at every point now I see him in a battle, I'm expecting him, or I'm just waiting for him to die, as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, he fights real hard, then all of a sudden, I put Daki takes another blow to the chest. I'm worried about him in my notes. This is that fight inside Lawson's apartment.
Yeah.
And all heck breaks loose. That place is catching on fire. They all get to the rooftop. Daki seems like Daki. He has the utmost confidence in his Padawan, though. I don't know how many times he tells Lawson, once they all get split up and they get into their different groups, not to worry that he fully trusts Devin. So I'm curious as what'll happen if something goes wrong. So, but I don't think much changes for him. Devin's kind of a little butthead though. She's kind of rude to Riley and kind of like
let's go into that. Let's talk about Devin.
She's kind of like
she's not ready to be a master, is she? Like you can see that.
She's not. She's no Vernestra Rowe, that's for sure, at her age. Because I think this is about the same age as Vernestra was in the High Republic. Because the way she talks to Riley, like, they ask, the parent, the adults say, hey, go show your room or whatever. And she's kind of like talks down to him a little bit, not in like a friendly way, which I'm like, I don't know, just kind of, I think that shows that she's not like necessarily a nice person, because you can tell a lot by someone how they talk to people. And like Riley's just a scared kid.
Yeah.
Like, she should be going out of her way to be comforting to him. She has this training. She probably feels safer than he does. And this opportunity where she's just kind of not great to him, I felt like. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but
yeah,
I just felt like I put down Devin is kind of a B.
Yeah. And obviously the talk about the childhood, etc. And I think some of it's like envy to the fact that he's had a childhood.
Yeah, maybe
doing all these sports, etc. Family, and I'm sure it's in this one as well. She turns around to him and said, like, words to this effect of, we had two completely different childhoods growing up.
Yeah.
Which is fair. One survived Order 66 while the other one was there playing lacrosse or whatever it is.
Yeah,
he was playing.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's just weird to me, and I think like regardless of her situation. But then she goes up on that roof and she absolutely goes ham and goes nuts on not the clones, the TK trooper. She steals that gunship, and then they have a really good chase scene. And this is
really good chase scene.
Yeah, really good chase scene, I think. And so she's a really good pilot.
Yeah.
And she's really good. I mean, she's kind of, is she going to be like the bad version of Ahsoka if she really does fall at some point? Like, I don't know when that happens. Like, I don't even see it happen in this season, but, but is she like the bad version of Ahsoka? Because she is powerful with the Force. But then she's also a great pilot. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with her.
Yeah, for sure. Next character to talk about again is going to be Brandon Lawson. He's developed now, and we sort of see that he is on side, looking more towards the Jedis, etc. A bit of a sympathizer, if you like. Again, he's happy. He's obviously worried about his son, but again, like you mentioned there, Daki's always trying to keep him sweet. You can see the fatigue in him now. Now he's seen the Empire. He's sort of seen a bit of a defeatist, isn't he? Just wants his normal job life, so to speak.
Yeah, but he's not going to. He could have easily just turned him in and doesn't. He could have been like, nope, I'm out. But he's going to do the right thing. And again, sometimes it comes down to like they're more Jedi than some Jedi that we know. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
And I think him and Daki together, there's some good banter when they're together. So I do enjoy that.
Yeah. Some great connections there, I think, between them both. Do we want to speak a little bit about Riley and what we see? Obviously, we mentioned the chat and that with Devon, but I think in this one we start to really understand his motivations.
Yeah, I just feel like he's kind of caught in the crossfire. Do you know what I mean?
That's
like
exactly what I was going to say.
The one person in this that doesn't really have a place, that's innocent, because Lawson's made his choices. He's an adult. He's a cop. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. The Jedi know what they're supposed to be doing. And Devin is just a kid.
Yep. Yep.
without Jedi powers. So I kind of feel for him, but he's a lot like his dad though, because he goes along with it and he tries to help out, and that kind of ends how it ends, I guess.
Yes. Cool. That's really, I think, character-wise, who we get to see in this episode. We don't see a great deal of Two Boots.
And Blake is in it
Um,
for a minute. He's just a
yeah.
jerk. We
Yeah.
do get more. We get reintroduced to Rena Soul again, or we get to meet her. Get to see
Yeah.
her again, and that's the mother of the actor who's voicing Devin. By the way,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a
Nice.
cool connection. So, but anyways,
Nice.
yeah. So there's a lot of characters in this, but then there's a lot of quick, um,
Quick turnaround moments, let's
yeah,
say. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I get what you're saying. Lore-wise, connections and links, etc., to the past stuff. Again, there's loads of subtle nods. I think, obviously, the clone ship probably being the biggest, most obvious one.
Yeah, they're still
Um,
using clone tech and stuff like that. They haven't
correct.
fully. The TKs kind of
Yeah,
linked it to Rebels and Ezra. Yeah, there's that stuff. Um,
they're still transitioning over.
yeah, no, and again, a little bit of Lieutenant Blake kind of keeps that jerkish imperial mode alive as well. So yeah, there's it's good connections as far as like all that stuff goes.
Yeah. There's lots of cool scenes in this. I already blurted it out. Just for me, I like the chase for the gunship. I thought that was really, really good. Animation's incredible. Obviously, we've got the big scene towards the end, if you like. It's quite an action-packed episode, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, it starts out in the apartment. That apartment goes to the roof. The roof goes to the gunship. The gunship goes to uh Rena Souls, and then we get the groups that get split up: Devin and Riley, Lawson and Docky. And then that has action scenes into it as well. And then of course, we get the big fight at the end.
And what a fight!
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I
What
liked
a
it.
fight!
Where's what does he say? Where's Maul? And he's like, I'm
Yeah,
right here. And he
yeah.
comes out and just get that good first fight on the train there.
Yes, and like you said, Marok does sort of hold his own pretty well. To be fair, does get a little bit seen off because he didn't finish the fight on his terms. But it's the first time that we see Devon and Maul working together, but not figuratively, so to speak. It's sort of unplanned, but it flows really well, and you can see in there, I think, the potential with Maul and his new apprentice.
Yeah, I think this one's more about survival because, like in the last
Yeah,
episode, we saw Docky and Devin fight Maul, and they looked like they worked better together than these two do. And
yeah.
then, but you're not. I think you're right, though. I think that like this is kind of like that beginning of their relationship. If that's where it's going to go,
Well,
I put Maul's ways more appealing.
yeah.
So
That's a really good comparison, though, to be fair, because, like you said, we've seen Daki and Devon fight together. It flowed nicely, but then we've seen Maul now and Devon fight together again. It's these little things that you've got to watch out for that you usually do mean or are build up to something, something else or something
yeah,
bigger. Yeah, and I think she does fight a lot better alongside Maul. But like I said, it wasn't planned, but it flowed really well.
yeah,
Their styles complemented each other.
yeah. I think it's yes, and I thought it was cool because I don't remember seeing 2 dual lightsabers battling it out before.
Mm,
But maybe we got that in Rebels. I can't remember if Maul fought the Inquisitors and they're all using double-bladed lightsabers or not, but, for some reason, this just sticks out to me. I thought it was a cool fight scene with 2 double-bladed lightsabers and them having at it, each other. And then
yeah.
Devin slipping in and out of that with her blue saber was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with that. So for me, best scene again, I'm sticking with the chase stuff from the gunship. I did really like that. I did really like the fight scene, to be fair, but for me, I'm going to go for the gunship. Jimmy, which one are you going to go for?
I think that this end battle is pretty good because then Maul gets the line, and now that you've seen the face of your true enemy,
Mm,
he's able to use that to his advantage. And be like, "Look, I'm not the enemy. This is what I was trying to say to you when back in the lair.
yeah,
You made me do that." And also, so yeah, I think that's a pretty cool lightsaber battle. We'll see where
yeah.
it goes. but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And then of course we got the ending episode where Merrick goes back to the Star Destroyer and messages someone higher up, it seems like, but we don't know who it is yet.
No idea who. And then last thing I want to just speak about for this as well is, some highlights of this episode, or what mentions is all, I don't know what it is about Maul, right? But I think it's something I've wanted for years, since I've always been in love with Star Wars, is somebody that does kick their ass. That's why I like Mace Windu. He didn't mess around. He did. He whooped. And now we have someone on let's say the good side fighting the bad guys, but he's also a bad guy.
Yeah, it's a weird situation though, because it's not like he's a good dude. Like it's one of
No.
those things where you're like, you're rooting for him, and you're like, wait a minute, he's not
Mm,
a good guy either. So
no. That's what I'm talking about. In the train station bit where Daki's, he's obviously used the force powers to
yeah,
try and get past. I mean, like, again, me personally, and it's just because I'm a savage, I'd have just force pushed him into the train. See ya, off you go. They chose to just use a staff and sort of still not kill them, even after Order 66. They're still not striking down to kill. And it's
yeah.
similar to like Batman. The most annoying thing about Batman, he doesn't kill, like doesn't go to kill.
I mean, that's the difference between the Jedi and the Sith, though, right? You only take a life if you absolutely have to. But you're right though about Batman, where it's like, he could make his life a lot easier if he was just eliminating his enemies, but that's not his mission.
No.
And I think it's not a Jedi's mission, so it is weird. It's a different, and I guess we need to like maybe go back and we watch these episodes and we watch Devin a little bit closer. Which version does she fit Docky a little bit better, or does she fit Maul a little bit better? Like what is she doing with her? Because I mean, I feel like she kicked some butt in that train station as well. I can't, or honestly, off the top of my head, remember if she bust out her lightsaber or not, but I do know she messes some people up throughout
Yeah.
this series. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Um, and then, just some little things here and there I thought were pretty cool about this episode. That little, uh, what did I put in my notes? The Joker
Oh, the
alien.
alien. Yeah.
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 So
As I call it a bit. And I think that pretty much wraps up 5 and 6. I think again it's getting stronger each episode. There hasn't been an episode yet that's been a filler or slowed down.
no.
The tone, the pace, it's still kept going. Again, which is massive kudos to the team there at Lucasfilm, Disney, etc. The voice acting has been superb. Any final thoughts on anything we've covered, Jimmy?
No, I just kind of want. I hope someone makes a super cut of this when it's all done and takes out all the credits and just mushes everything together, and so you can
Yeah.
sit down and watch this 2-hour film.
Yeah, that'd
When
be
it's all said
phenomenal.
and
Yeah.
done, because it does flow really, really well. I know we were spoiled because we got to watch. If we wanted to or had the time to watch 8 episodes straight, we could have. But and I think like 5 does a really good job. Like I know it's a little bit slower
Mm.
than 6, but I feel like it's really important. So like again, like you said, there's no filler. They don't have time for it. I just think they've just kept their foot on the gas, and I'm excited to see how 7 and 8 go.
Yeah.
And of course, really, really excited to see how the finale ends on May the 4th.
Oh yeah, yes, I cannot wait for that. Again, just want to thank everyone that made this possible. Again, thank you to the listeners and the viewers. Again, without you guys and girls, we wouldn't be where we are today. So a massive thank you for keep following us. We do have some very exciting news. I'm going to be going to Calgary Expo next weekend. So hopefully, well, I'm not saying hopefully I am going to see Brendan Wayne. Tim Morrison's going to be there. Anthony Daniels is there. Charles Soule's there. 2 or 3 more. Timothy Zahn's there. Who else? There's quite a few.
Yeah, it's a good
So
lineup.
yeah, so watch this space. We're going to get some live feeds on the go. I have employed a cameraman to follow me around as well. Bing.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna be super busy. So yeah, a massive thank you to everyone there. Jimmy,
All right.
final words, brother.
Yeah, just hey, folks, let us know what you think. Let us know how you would rate these episodes, episodes 5 and 6, or chapters 5 and 6, sorry. And if you have any predictions, we're not going to tell if you're right or wrong, but we love to hear them because I think it's fun. It's one of my
Yeah.
highlights of the week. Next week will be to listen to people, so let us know what you think, how you're enjoying the series, what works for you, what doesn't, who's your favorite characters. And man, just better have your seatbelt on, ready to go for the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Cool. Right, strap in, folks. Again, make sure you search Explore the Force. We're on all the social medias. Make sure to head over to YouTube. If you're watching on this on YouTube, please like, share, and please subscribe. We want to try and get to that 1,000 mark as soon as possible. So again, from myself and Jimmy, may the Force be with you. Take care and see you all soon.